In today's video, I am going to be showing you how I made this coffee table for my house. I have been wanting to make this for a while now, and I'm very excited to finally share the process of how I made it. Stay tuned to see how I secretly added my girlfriend's artwork to the build and to see her reaction in the end. Hope you enjoy. This video starts on the CNC. I've got a couple questions about the CNC and if I own it. The answer to that is no. My boss is very generous and is kind enough to let me use his shop for personal projects, and I definitely take advantage of it. Right now the CNC is cutting the bottom of the table, as well as these two pieces here, which are going to be the new fends for the miter saw. While the rest of the file is running, I went ahead and assembled this quick 90-degree fence for the table saw that has a little bit of length to it, which is going to help the kerf bending part of this project. Once that was complete, the CNC also finished cutting everything that I needed to on this sheet. I've tested a lot of different calculators online trying to figure out the spacing of these kerfs, but ended up deciding on using a lot more kerfs than I needed, just because I think it gave it a smoother curve. It's not as strong actually, but I do address that later in the video. So you can see here I made a little jig to cut these kerfs, nothing too complicated. You can definitely cut this on the CNC, but I think this was a little bit faster. And it gave me pretty good results. For the top, I wanted to add something custom to it, so it's not just a big round piece of wood. My girlfriend actually has a lot of drawings that she calls sketches, but I believe they're intricate enough to be a centerpiece. And I found this really nice one she did quite some time ago, but I just thought it'd look cool in something like this. I think a project like this suits it very well. So I went ahead and laser engraved her artwork right onto the wood, and as you can see, it cut about maybe a 1/16 of an inch deep, maybe not even that. So once the laser finished engraving everything, I went ahead and took it to the CNC. As you can see, there's registration marks there, which allows me to perfectly cut the circle out of it, and it's 100% centered every which way. The glue up in this was quite stressful. I didn't have a huge plan in mind, but I just know I would have to take it kind of slow for something like this. So I started off just kind of getting one of the ends nicely clamped in, and slowly but surely added glue and started taping around. You see me use these long F clamps to kind of keep everything tight, and definitely took my time on this, and it turned out pretty good, honestly. There weren't any big gaps. There's some small minor ones, but nothing too big that it was too obvious. This just took a really long time with a lot of patience, but I was happy to do it. I didn't glue it all the way. I left about 8 inches to glue for later. I went ahead and measured and cut it to length, and now we're ready to glue the other side. But before that, this is what I addressed on in regards to the strength. I just added a piece of veneer on the inside because the kerfs weren't actually touching on the inside, so this should make it a little bit stronger. And here I'm gluing that last little bit in to finally seal everything, and I'm just using a block of wood wrapped in tape and a big F-clamp to do it. Flush trimming next. I let it dry overnight, and the next day I took off all the tape and got it all flush trimmed to make it nice and smooth. I'm going to be using a black wood filler to fill in all the engravings. I didn't want to give the black filler a chance to stain the wood at all, which is why you see me doing a couple clear coats before I do the actual filling. I really wanted to get a good coverage with the filler, and I really took my time making sure each and every single part of that engraving was filled as densely as I could. This was a really fun part of the build, and my fingers definitely hurt from pushing so hard, making sure that filler really gets in there, and it's not even the worst part. The worst part was scraping off all of the excess filler. Because the engraving wasn't very deep, I wasn't confident in using an orbital sander to get these off. I preferred the slow and foolproof way, which is using a scraper. A cabinet scraper would have been nice, but all I had was a blade, which actually did pretty well. It went pretty fast, but after a while, it really hurt. And I did kind of use the orbital sander in the end. Just very high grit and very slow. And the reveal on this was absolutely amazing. I finished sanding all the surfaces in preparation for stain. I had to be absolutely sure that none of that clear coat was still on there, otherwise the stain would not penetrate the wood. I blew off all the dust and got ready to apply some stain conditioner. Looking back at this really makes me want to just go back in time and maybe just put a clear coat on this, because the contrast here is so nice. But you'll never really know until you try, right? So here I'm adding a stain. It's my favorite stain that I use on most of my projects, and I do really like it still. I do like it a lot. Even though maybe doing just a clear stain would have been better, I think this gives it a much more warm and richer look, which I really like. After staining, I went ahead and applied a couple coats of polyurethane, letting it dry and sanding in between coats with 600 grit sandpaper. I am curious to see what your opinion is when it comes to the color. I really do like the stained one, but I also maybe feel like the black on that birch is very, very nice. I think it's more legibility that I really liked about it, but this warm color with this satin finish just looks so, so good. At this point, the project is pretty much complete. The only thing it's missing are the legs. I cut one end of some square tubing on the bandsaw and then took it to the drill press with a hole saw to cut the other end so that it joins nicely on some round tubing. I went for a really simple design to make it easy on me because this is my very first welding project. Seeing this fit together made me really happy and excited to actually weld it up. I grinded some of the edges and then got ready to start welding. After some minimal grinding, definitely didn't spend hours grinding this at all. I went ahead and marked some holes that matched the hole positions of the actual table so then I can put them together later. I countersunk all the holes to make them look professional, rubbed it all down with alcohol to remove all the grease, and I could start the painting process, starting with this self-etching primer and then a couple coats of gloss black paint. I went ahead and made sure to paint the hardware as well. Even though it's in the bottom, it would look really good if it matches the paint color. After all the paint is dry, I can add these little caps that really finish the look. I added some felt to prevent the paint and the finish from sticking together. I added some insert nuts to those pilot holes that the CNC cut to the bottom of the table so that I have something for the bolts to be screwing on. The very last thing to do was to carefully bolt the legs to the tabletop. Man, I have so much respect for people who make stuff with their hands like this. I watch so many YouTubers that do this, but it really does take so long to make these projects, and I have so much respect for everybody that does it. So there you go, another project done. Huh?
What is it?
What?
The box?
Oh, that's not for you.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it is.
What is it? What is it? Can I open it? What the fuck? How'd you do